The Michigan State Capitol is the building that houses the legislative branch of the government of the U.S. state of Michigan. It is in the portion of the state capital of Lansing which lies in Ingham County. The present structure, at the intersection of Capitol and Michigan Avenues, is a National Historic Landmark that houses the chambers and offices of the Michigan legislature as well as the ceremonial offices of the Governor of Michigan and Lieutenant Governor. Historically, this is the third building to house the Michigan government. The first state capitol was in Detroit, the original capital of Michigan, and was relocated to Lansing in 1847, due to the need to develop the state's western portion and for better defense from British troops stationed in Windsor, Ontario. On July 13, 1787, the Second Continental Congress passed the Northwest Ordinance, creating the Northwest Territory which included Michigan. In 1805, the U.S. Congress created the Michigan Territory, with Detroit as its territorial capital. Michigan first applied for statehood as early as 1832, though it was rebuffed due to a dispute with Ohio over the Toledo Strip, a 468-square-mile area that included the important port city of Toledo. By 1835, Michigan had formed a state government without receiving authorization from Congress to do so. The state's boundaries included the contested area. The dispute culminated in what has become known as the Toledo War, as Michigan and Ohio militia took up arms in the area. As a condition for entering the Union, Michigan was forced to accept the eastern three-quarters of the Upper Peninsula in exchange for ceding its claim to the Toledo Strip. After a state convention first rejected this condition, a second convention, assembled under some duress in December 1836, reluctantly accepted the terms and Michigan became the 26th state on January 26, 1837, with Detroit as its first capital. The first building to serve as the state capital was built in 1832 as the Territorial Courthouse. The courthouse was on the corner of Griswold Street and State Street. This brick structure was one of Michigan's earliest Greek Revival buildings, with a portico of Ionic columns and a central tower of 140 feet and library until it burned in 1893. The 1835 Michigan Constitution provided that, prior to 1847, Detroit fought to maintain the capital within its jurisdiction, but communities in the growing western part of the state had many reasons for wanting a move inland, including the need to increase defensibility by moving the state government away from the Canada-US border. Detroit had been occupied during the War of 1812, and the border area of Michigan of less than a mile between Detroit and Windsor, Ontario, at the Detroit River continued to be occupied by British troops on both banks. Proponents of moving the capital also sought to promote settlement and the economy in the interior, as well as making the government more accessible to the people throughout the state. Contenders seeking designation as the new capital included Ann Arbor, Jackson, Grand Rapids, and Shiawassee Township in Shiawassee County. At one point during the debate, Marshall officials were so certain of its selection that they built a governor's mansion. After extensive debate, State Senator Joseph H. Kilbourne of Ingham County proposed that the nearly uninhabited Lansing Township be made the seat of government. The legislature agreed, with the location north of Ann Arbor, west of Detroit, and east of Grand Rapids being deemed a suitable compromise. The legislature renamed it as the Town of Michigan, though by 1848 the original name of Lansing was restored. Construction began in 1847 on the state capitol building in Lansing, a temporary structure on the block bordered by Washington Avenue, Capitol Avenue, Allegan Street, and Washtenaw Street. It was a simple two-story wood frame structure, painted white with green wooden shutters and topped by a tin cupola. The total cost for construction was $22,952.01. The building was sold when the permanent Capitol building opened in 1879. It was then used as a factory until, like the first Capitol, it was destroyed by a fire in 1882. In the early 1870s, Governor Henry P. Baldwin urged the legislature to fund a new permanent capital. On March 31, 1871, a bill was adopted for the erection of a new state capitol and a building for the temporary use of the state officers. The new capital was to cost $1.20 million, to be raised by a 6-year state income tax. In 1872, architect Elijah A. Myers of Springfield, Illinois, was commissioned to design the new Capitol building, and the design committee selected his design, named Tubor, which means I will defend. Myers used the central dome and wing design found in the United States Capitol in his design and subsequently went on to design 2 other state capitol buildings, the state houses of Colorado and Texas, as well as the former Territorial Capitol building of Idaho. The